What if there's a secret that's been hidden in plain sight? A refuge chosen by divine hands, preserved and protected for a moment in history yet to unfold. Imagine a sanctuary destined to rise during humanity's darkest hour, a place of unimaginable significance when chaos takes over and the Great Tribulation begins. The question becomes impossible to ignore: where will God's people find safety amidst the storms? Some have begun to believe that the answer lies in a place that seems, at first glance, unremarkable, a land often overlooked yet uniquely fortified for such a purpose. The Philippines, this vast and remote archipelago in Southeast Asia, may hold a role far greater than anyone ever imagined. Could these islands, surrounded by endless waters, be the sanctuary foretold in ancient prophecies, a refuge designed by God Himself? Consider the gravity of this possibility. Throughout history, God has always prepared sanctuaries for His people during times of trial. From Noah's Ark to the desert that shielded the Israelites, these places of refuge have been divinely crafted to provide safety when destruction loomed. Could the Philippines be one of those sanctuaries, hidden in plain sight? This archipelago is not just defined by its geographic isolation, but also by the unshakable faith and resilience of its people. Its natural defenses and spiritual strength seem almost intentionally designed for such a purpose. If these lands are part of a divine blueprint, the implications are nothing short of extraordinary. Look deeper into what makes these islands so unique. The Philippines isn't just geographically remote, it is spiritually significant. Shielded by vast oceans, its position appears almost deliberate, protected, veiled, waiting. Its people, forged through centuries of hardship and faith, have demonstrated a resilience that feels almost prophetic. During Typhoon Haiyan in 2013, one of the strongest storms in recorded history, devastation swept through the land. Millions lost their homes, their livelihoods, and yet, amidst the destruction, something extraordinary happened. Communities didn't fracture, they came together. Families gathered in churches, praying amidst the wreckage, their voices rising above the chaos. This wasn't just survival, it was a collective act of faith, a reflection of divine preparation. Could this resilience, this unyielding spirit, be part of a larger plan? Could God be shaping the Filipino people as protectors, ready to offer refuge to others in the coming days of tribulation? Prophecies throughout history have spoken of hidden sanctuaries, places where God's chosen people can find safety. Isaiah 26:20 says, "Go, my people, enter your rooms and shut the doors behind you. Hide yourselves for a little while, until His wrath has passed by." Could the Philippines, with its scattered islands and protective waters, represent one of these hidden rooms? Its geography seems to echo divine intention: mountains, forests, and oceans that serve as natural fortifications against external threats. These lands, secluded yet fortified, may have been preserved for this very purpose. But this is about more than just geography, it's about destiny. Each mountain, each shoreline, each resilient community carries with it the weight of a mystery, waiting to be unveiled. Could the Philippines be more than just a place on the map? Could it be a critical piece in a grand divine plan? The idea lingers, demanding attention. What if this unassuming archipelago has been divinely prepared to play a role that transcends history, a role that will only become clear in the days of tribulation? The thought is unsettling, yet it pulls at something deep within, urging us to consider the possibility. Think of the parallels throughout Scripture and history. Sacred refuges have always protected God's people in times of upheaval. The desert shielded the Israelites. Noah's Ark carried his family through the flood. Could the Philippines be a modern-day version of these sanctuaries? Its isolation feels almost too perfect to be coincidence. Its people, shaped by faith and resilience, seem uniquely positioned for such a role. The connection is undeniable, a thread woven through prophecy and history that points to something greater. The natural beauty of the Philippines, its mountains, its vast oceans, and its remote islands, seems to hide something more: a sacred purpose. Biblical verses echo through time, pointing to safe spaces for God's people during the most turbulent times. These prophecies aren't mere poetry, they are warnings, promises, and glimpses into a divine plan that may already be unfolding. As you consider these words, ask yourself, could these islands, often overlooked by the world, hold the key to survival during the darkest days? Could their isolation and resilience be signs of their greater purpose? This is not just speculation, it's a call to look closer. The Philippines might not simply be a collection of islands, it could be a sanctuary for humanity, a place designed by God to weather the storms of tribulation. The pieces are all there, urging us to see the bigger picture. Each wave that crashes against its shores, each prayer spoken in its churches, each act of resilience in the face of disaster, all of it hints at a role that defies human understanding. As the days grow darker, the importance of this question becomes impossible to ignore. What if the Philippines isn't just another country but a refuge, a hidden sanctuary chosen by God for His people? This thought, this possibility, is no longer something to dismiss. It's a call to awaken, to prepare, and to seek the truth hidden within these lands. Could this archipelago, seemingly unremarkable to the world, be the sanctuary humanity has been searching for? The answer may already be written in its mountains, its shores, and the unyielding faith of its people. The Philippines isn't just geographically unique, it's spiritually enigmatic. On the island of Sanctuaries, locals recount tales of invading forces losing their way, as if shielded by an unseen hand. Similarly, Mount Banahaw, known as a sacred mountain, draws pilgrims who report feelings of peace and healing, as though touched by the divine. Even the bioluminescent waters of El Nido, where the sea glows under the night sky, evoke a sense of wonder. Could these phenomena be more than natural occurrences? Are they signs, placed by God, pointing to the Philippines as a beacon of refuge and divine presence? In times of upheaval, these lands could become a beacon, a place that stands untouched while others falter. It's as if the Philippines was placed here intentionally, an isolated fortress for the faithful. Some even say it's a refuge of God, hidden in plain sight. But what does this mean for us? What might lie ahead for those who dare to believe? Throughout history, isolation has meant survival. Plagues, wars, and invasions have swept the world, but those hidden away in distant lands have often remained safe. The Philippines mirrors this, standing apart, naturally fortified. When the days of tribulation come, and we all sense they're closer than we think, could this island nation become one of the last sanctuaries? A divine stronghold where God's people gather in safety. This archipelago is no ordinary place. Those who visit it often feel a pull, a sense of mystery they can't quite explain. In a region dominated by major religions like Buddhism, Islam, and Hinduism, the Philippines emerges as a sacred beacon where Christianity shines brightly. As the largest Christian nation in Asia, the Philippines does not only preserve its faith, but also spreads it through missionaries, humanitarian organizations, and deeply rooted religious culture. This is no coincidence. Like the sacred lands in the Bible chosen by God to be centers of faith, the Philippines may play a part in a greater divine plan. Perhaps this is why, despite its geographic isolation, this country exerts a strong spiritual influence, not just within its region but worldwide. The prophetic role of the Philippines as a light in the darkness of the region could be God's call for a new generation to return to faith. Why does it feel like a sanctuary? Why does its beauty carry an almost otherworldly peace? It's not just the people of the Philippines who feel the spiritual strength of this land, but also pilgrims and international visitors. They recount deeply emotional experiences at places like Mount Banahaw, considered a sacred mountain, or the ancient churches of Cebu, where they find peace beyond words. A European pilgrim shared how simply standing under the night sky in El Nido, watching the bioluminescent waters, made them feel connected to God. Stories like these, repeated year after year, regardless of nationality or religion, lead one to wonder, could the Philippines be more than just a land, but a divine invitation, a place where souls find solace and healing from God? Some say it's the hand of God, that these lands were chosen as a resting place for the faithful, a refuge for those who believe, a place marked by a sacred presence veiled yet waiting for those who need it most. Could it be that the Philippines, veiled by ocean and history, stands ready for a role unlike any other? Is it destined to shelter and protect those facing the Great Tribulation? Imagine a world plunged into chaos where wars, natural disasters, and darkness dominate. In such a scenario, the Philippines could emerge as a final refuge, a land where believers from around the world seek shelter and spiritual nourishment. From its remote islands, faith-driven communities could build lives centered on hope and prayer. Churches and prayer spaces might become focal points of unity, offering comfort in God's embrace. Mountains like Mount Apo or islands like Palawan could transform into fortresses, not just for physical safety, but as sources of inspiration for the world beyond. Could this be the future God is preparing? A vision where the Philippines is not only a sanctuary, but a starting point for a new journey of faith for humanity. This archipelago invites questions, challenges assumptions, and opens the door to something deeply profound. What mysteries do these islands hold, and what will they reveal to those who stay the course? Prophecy has always whispered of hidden places, sanctuaries reserved for the chosen in times of chaos. Could the Philippines, distant and almost untouched by the rest of the world, be one of these foretold havens? For centuries, believers have scoured Scripture, seeking clues to where God's people might find safety. If ancient prophecies point to places of isolation and divine protection, could this archipelago, far from the world's turmoil, be one of those secret shelters? The Bible speaks in codes and symbols, hinting at hidden locations for God's faithful during the last days. In Matthew 24:16, Jesus mentions fleeing to the mountains, seeking refuge from impending trials. Mountains, islands, and distant lands often surface in biblical texts as places of divine preservation. When you consider the Philippines, an isolated chain of islands guarded by vast oceans, there's an uncanny resemblance to these prophecies, a feeling that this place may be part of a larger, mysterious design. What if there's more here than meets the eye? Imagine the Philippines as a modern-day city of refuge, where those facing tribulation can find shelter. Believers may wonder, are these islands more than just a geographic accident? Is there a reason this archipelago stands so far removed, a sacred geography waiting to fulfill its role when the time is right? It's a question that lingers, inviting you to search deeper into the possibilities. Some verses point to remote places, almost invisible to the world, as refuges for the faithful. Revelation 12:6 mentions a place prepared by God, where believers are kept safe from tribulation. Could the Philippines be this prepared place? Think of these islands, untouched, mysterious, and protected by the sea, as the very embodiment of this prophecy. For those who seek refuge, the idea of a divine sanctuary is tantalizing. It's a thought that beckons one to look beyond the surface, to seek hidden truths in plain sight. Throughout the Bible, certain places carry special meaning, set aside for divine purposes. Just as the Israelites were led to the Promised Land, could the Philippines be a modern-day sanctuary, a refuge where believers will gather, fulfilling a hidden prophecy? The notion that these islands hold a special role in the end times adds weight to every wave and mountain here. This idea is more than mystical, it's practical, an invitation for those with faith to prepare. Consider the signs. Why does the Philippines, unlike other nations, remain secluded and relatively free from global conflicts? Prophetic texts have long suggested that God would protect His people in hidden places during the days of trial. The Philippines, with its isolated shores, seems to resonate with these predictions. Is it possible that this nation stands as a silent witness to a prophecy that's only now beginning to reveal itself? People often overlook the power of prophecy in shaping our world, but what if the Philippines' very geography was divinely placed? The more one dives into Scripture, the more these islands start to appear not just as land but as a sign of place marked by divine purpose. Those seeking safety, who fear the coming tribulation, might find answers here. But what role will these islands play, and what mysteries will they unveil to those who come seeking? Could it be that this distant archipelago, this refuge of God, holds answers we have yet to understand? For those willing to look beyond the obvious, the Philippines may just be one of the last shelters, a sanctuary waiting to fulfill a prophecy etched in ancient texts. What awaits those who seek refuge here? Perhaps the answer lies in the quiet waves and hidden mountains, ready to reveal themselves to those who dare to believe. There's something unique about faith in the Philippines, something that feels deeply rooted, almost as if it's been growing toward a greater purpose. Could this flourishing faith be a sign, a divine marker of something greater? In a world where faith often flickers, here it shines brightly, stronger than ever. But why? Is this island nation's unbreakable faith preparing it for something profound, a purpose meant to unfold in the coming days? Consider this: faith in the Philippines isn't just about personal beliefs. It's a way of life. Communities pray together, families gather, and resilience becomes second nature. Some might say it's no coincidence that this nation, with its strong sense of belief, might be singled out by divine intention. Could it be that God has fostered this growth to prepare the Philippines as a safe harbor or refuge for those who will need it most when the days grow dark? Think of it. People here face trials almost daily, from natural disasters to economic struggles, yet their faith only grows stronger. This resilience is inspiring, and it makes one wonder, is it all preparation? Could it be that each struggle, each test, is part of a divine plan, molding the people to become protectors and beacons of hope for those who believe? The idea resonates. Perhaps God has His hand here, preparing this nation not just to endure but to offer shelter in times of global tribulation. The stories are countless families who lose everything in a storm yet find solace in prayer, communities that rebuild through shared strength. Such resilience, grounded in faith, feels rare. Some might say it's almost as if they're being prepared for a higher calling. This growth in faith isn't just inspiring, it's puzzling. Is there a purpose here that we're only beginning to understand? Maybe, just maybe, God is building a fortress of faith in the Philippines, a refuge ready to face what's to come. Faith isn't just personal here, it's communal, an unbreakable bond shared by millions. This unity, this shared strength, could be a sign. Could it be that this growth is preparing the Philippines to be a place where believers find strength, resilience, and hope, even as the world faces darker times? If so, the growth of faith here isn't just for the Filipino people. It's for anyone who seeks refuge, who yearns for a safe place amidst life's storms. This powerful faith, tested and proven through hardship, holds an almost magnetic allure. Visitors often feel it, a calm, an assurance that's difficult to find elsewhere. What if this faith is God's way of fortifying the Philippines, making it a spiritual bastion? The sense of safety, of divine presence, isn't just comforting, it's a mystery that draws people in, making them question whether there's more to this land than meets the eye. Many believe that when trials increase, faith shines brighter. And here, that brightness feels almost like a beacon. Is this why people are drawn to these islands, searching for something they can't quite name? Could it be that this faith, this resilience, is a signal, a call to those who feel lost? For anyone seeking solace in the days ahead, the Philippines could very well be the place where faith offers the ultimate refuge. So, is it by mere chance that faith flourishes here, or is there a grander purpose unfolding? Perhaps this growth is no coincidence but a divine invitation, a signal to all who seek shelter in uncertain times. The Philippines might just be a spiritual fortress, quietly rising, preparing for a role that will soon be revealed. And this invites the question, what other signs are waiting to be uncovered? Imagine a people who seem almost predestined for resilience, molded by countless trials, yet unwavering in their faith. In the Philippines, resilience is woven into the fabric of daily life. But what if this strength is more than just cultural? Could this resilience, tested and refined through natural disasters and hardship, be part of a larger divine preparation? It feels almost as if God has been quietly shaping this nation for something extraordinary, something that few can see but many can sense. Consider this: Filipinos face typhoons, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions regularly, yet they rise time and again. Their capacity to rebuild, to stand together, is more than remarkable, it's almost prophetic. Think about it. Could these constant challenges be a rehearsal of sorts, a preparation for the days when the world itself might tremble? This resilience feels intentional, as though they're being prepared not just to survive, but to protect and shield others when the time comes. This preparation isn't just physical, it's spiritual. When disaster strikes, communities gather in prayer, finding strength in their shared faith. For them, faith isn't just a comfort, it's a lifeline. Could it be that this deep-rooted spirituality, nurtured through hardship, is part of a divine plan? Many wonder if God is fortifying this nation, creating a people who will stand as pillars during the Great Tribulation. It's an idea that tugs at the heart, making one question if every trial has a purpose beyond survival. Even their disaster preparedness systems seem almost prophetic, as though these plans are part of a divine blueprint. Evacuation routes, community shelters, drills, they've become second nature. But what if these aren't just precautions? What if they're a foreshadowing, a glimpse of the role the Philippines might play as a refuge in the future? For those who see the world through the lens of prophecy, these preparations look less like coincidences and more like a calling, a readiness that goes beyond the physical. Imagine a place where both spirit and body are prepared, where faith and resilience work in harmony. This combination feels almost designed, as though the Filipino people are being readied for something they themselves may not yet understand. But what if this readiness is not just for them? What if they're being prepared to be protectors, to welcome those seeking refuge from tribulation? It's a question that stirs the soul, urging one to look beyond the obvious. There's something almost sacred in the Filipino spirit, a quiet strength, a readiness that feels purposeful. You can feel it when you speak to them, hear it in their stories. It's as if their hearts have been fortified, prepared to endure and to give shelter. This is more than mere resilience, it's an invitation, a beckoning to those who might one day need a place of refuge. Could it be that God has shaped this nation not just for itself, but for others, a safe harbor in the coming storm? In a world that often feels uncertain, the Filipino people stand like a beacon, a people seemingly chosen to withstand and to endure. Their preparation, both spiritual and material, raises questions that linger. Why this strength? Why this faith? For those who see with the eyes of belief, this preparation hints at a role waiting to be fulfilled, a destiny woven into their very identity. Perhaps, in the end, they're not just prepared for themselves, but for those who will come seeking hope. So, could it be that this readiness is a sign, a clue to a hidden purpose waiting to be revealed? The Filipino people seem uniquely equipped for something beyond the everyday, perhaps a role that will become clear in the days to come. And this leads us to wonder, what might this nation, with its deep-rooted resilience, yet uncover about its purpose? What if the Philippines, a humble archipelago far from the world's spotlight, was actually central to a larger hidden battle? Imagine a spiritual conflict, a struggle between forces that most never see, yet that plays out in places chosen by divine design. Could it be that the Philippines holds a strategic role in this unseen clash? A place positioned by God, not just as a sanctuary, but as a fortress in the war between light and darkness? It's a thought that feels almost too grand to consider, yet it lingers. Some say that nations, like people, are chosen for purposes beyond their own understanding. In the Philippines, faith runs deep, almost as though the land itself is infused with divine energy. But could this faith have called forth attention from forces both good and evil? When one thinks of the end times, the idea of a battle, a cosmic struggle over the faithful, doesn't feel so far-fetched. And perhaps, just perhaps, this nation stands as a crucial player, a beacon and battleground in one. Imagine a place where angels and unseen forces might gather, a land both protected and embattled. The Philippines, with its deep spirituality, seems like fertile ground for such a conflict. Its people, fortified by faith and resilience, appear prepared not only to endure but to stand firm in the face of spiritual threats. Could it be that this nation's strength is no accident? Is there a purpose in their endurance, a readiness, not just to survive but to serve as a shield for those who seek refuge from darker forces? Biblical texts speak of battles not of flesh and blood, but of principalities and powers. Ephesians 6:12 hints at conflicts that exist beyond our sight, yet affect the world in profound ways. With faith as their armor, could the Filipino people be standing on the front lines of such a conflict? A place where the faithful gather, not only for protection, but as a statement of resistance against the forces that oppose divine will. It's an idea that feels both ancient and immediate, urging us to look closer at the unseen. Consider, too, that a strategic location isn't always about geography. Sometimes it's about purpose, destiny, and readiness. The Philippines may be isolated, but spiritually, it's a place that feels intensely connected. This nation has a way of drawing people in, as though it's a gathering point for the faithful. Is it possible that God has placed it here, veiled and protected, not only as a refuge, but as a staging ground, a place where the forces of good can gather strength? There's something compelling about a place that feels both sacred and strategic. This archipelago, shielded by oceans, seems almost to wait in quiet anticipation, as if prepared for something it is yet to reveal. In times of trouble, it's easy to seek places that offer physical safety. But what if there's more? What if the Philippines offers a deeper kind of sanctuary, one that protects not just the body, but the soul? A place where spiritual battles are met with unwavering faith. This idea that the Philippines is central to a larger divine struggle may sound extraordinary, but for those who believe in prophecy, it isn't far-fetched. Many feel that as the world grows darker, places of light will shine brighter, resisting forces that seek to consume. Could it be that the Philippines, with its resilient faith and strategic isolation, stands ready to be such a place of fortress for those who are both fleeing and fighting in a world on the edge of tribulation? So, is it by coincidence or purpose that the Philippines stands as a beacon of faith in these times? For those willing to see beyond the visible, this nation's role in the spiritual landscape may be more significant than ever imagined. And it invites a question that lingers: what other mysteries might this land hold, waiting to be revealed to those who seek the truth? If everything we've discussed is true, then the ultimate question is, what will you do? God has laid out the signs, prepared the refuge, but the rest is up to us. Will you recognize these signs, have the courage to act, and prepare spiritually for what lies ahead? This is not just a story about a nation, it's a story about you, your faith, and how you respond to the challenges of our time. Ask yourself, if a place like the Philippines truly exists, chosen by God as a divine refuge, then what is your role in this grand plan? Now is the time to reflect, to pray, and to believe that God always has a greater plan for us, even in the darkest of times. As we stand on the edge of uncertainty, the Philippines emerges not just as a land of breathtaking beauty, but as a beacon of faith, resilience, and divine purpose. Every mountain, every wave, and every prayer whispered on its shores carries the weight of something greater, a sanctuary waiting to be revealed. But the question remains, will you recognize the signs when they appear? The world may tremble, but those who seek will find, and those who trust in God's plan will be shielded. Let this message be your invitation, not just to marvel at the mysteries of this land, but to strengthen your faith, prepare your spirit, and embrace the possibility of a refuge that transcends the physical. The Philippines may be more than a place, it may be the promise of God's enduring protection in the days to come.